In this heartwarming story, you'll witness how one man's kindness can turn despair into hope and a forgotten garden into a symbol of strength and unity. Watch till the end, because the lesson you'll learn here is one that can inspire change in any community. Where are you watching from? Drop a comment and let us know. In a quiet town nestled on the outskirts of California, there was a garden that had once been the heart of the community. Years ago, it had been a vibrant space where neighbors came together, children played and learned, and families grew their own food. The garden had been a place where people shared not only vegetables but stories, laughter, and hope. It had been a symbol of unity and self-sufficiency. But as time went on, things changed. The economy took a downturn, and many of the town's residents lost their jobs. Businesses closed, and families struggled to make ends meet. The garden, once a flourishing patch of green, fell into neglect. The flowers died, the fences crumbled, and the soil, once rich and fertile, became overrun with weeds. The community that had once thrived here had begun to fade. It was in this small, forgotten town that Brad Pitt, always a champion of rebuilding and renewal, heard about the garden's plight. A friend had told him about the neighborhood's struggles and how this garden, once the pride of the community, now stood as a symbol of everything they had lost. Brad knew he had to do something. One cool afternoon, Brad drove into town. He parked his car at the edge of the garden and stepped out, looking around at the neglected space. The once proud garden was unrecognizable, its beauty buried under layers of neglect. Weeds overtook the pathways, and broken fences leaned precariously against each other. The joy and warmth that had once filled this place were now only memories. As Brad walked deeper into the garden, he met a group of local residents who had gathered to talk about the garden's future. There was Maria, a single mother of 3, who had spent many afternoons teaching her children how to plant seeds and grow their own vegetables. There was Joe, an elderly man who had tended the garden for over 2 decades and had watched as it grew into something special for the whole town. And there was Sarah, a young woman who had returned to the town after college, hoping to find a way to bring the community back together. "We've tried everything," Maria explained, her voice tinged with sadness. "But without the resources, we just can't fix it. We need help, but we don't know where to turn." Brad listened carefully to each person's story, feeling the weight of their words. He understood that this garden was more than just a patch of land. It was a symbol of the town's spirit, a place that had once brought them together, but had now fallen into despair. "I see the potential here," Brad said softly, looking out at the garden. "This place can come back, and I'm going to help you do that." The residents were stunned. They hadn't expected someone like Brad Pitt, someone with such a large platform and influence, to show up, let alone offer to help them. But Brad wasn't just offering money or a quick fix. He was offering something deeper: his time, his energy, and his heart. Brad knew that in order to restore the garden, the community needed more than just financial resources. They needed to reconnect, to rediscover their sense of purpose and belonging. So, he didn't just write a check. He rolled up his sleeves and got to work. Over the next few weeks, Brad worked side by side with the residents. He helped clear the weeds, rebuild the fences, and prepare the soil for planting. He didn't sit in the background, watching from a distance. He was in the dirt, working with the same people who had once tended this garden. He talked with the children as they planted new flowers, shared stories with the elderly residents, and encouraged the young adults to take charge of the revitalization effort. Brad's presence brought a renewed sense of energy to the garden and to the town itself. As he worked alongside the residents, they began to feel a spark of hope they hadn't felt in years. There were moments of laughter as the children played games while their parents worked, and there were moments of quiet reflection as older residents shared their memories of the garden's past glory. One evening, after a long day of work, Brad sat on a bench with Joe, the elderly man who had been one of the garden's original caretakers. "You know," Joe said, wiping sweat from his brow, "I've seen a lot of things in my time, but I never thought I'd see the day when this garden would come back to life. You've done more than just fix the place. You've reminded us of what we're capable of when we come together." Brad smiled, but his eyes were full of emotion. "It's not just about the garden, Joe. It's about the people. You've got something special here, a community that refuses to give up. I'm just helping you rediscover it." Joe paused for a moment, his eyes drifting to the rows of plants they had just replanted. "I never thought I'd see the day when people started to believe in this place again. It's like you've breathed new life into the whole town." As the days passed, the garden began to transform. What was once a barren, desolate plot of land slowly turned into something beautiful, a place where flowers bloomed, vegetables thrived, and laughter echoed through the air. The residents came together, not just to tend the garden, but to reconnect with one another. They shared stories, meals, and dreams of a better future. But the transformation wasn't just physical. As the garden blossomed, so did the spirit of the town. People started talking to their neighbors again, old friendships were rekindled, and a new sense of unity began to grow. Brad's presence had sparked something deeper in the people, something that no amount of money or resources could buy. One afternoon, Sarah, the young woman who had returned to the town, approached Brad with a heartfelt smile. "I never thought this day would come," she said. "But now, the garden isn't just a place for food. It's a place for us to be together. It's where we come to heal." Brad nodded, feeling the weight of her words. Healing isn't just about fixing things. It's about coming together. It's about realizing that we're all part of something bigger than ourselves. Finally, the day arrived for the grand reopening of the garden. The whole town gathered to celebrate. Children ran through the rows of plants, their faces beaming with joy. The sun was setting, casting a golden light over the lush greenery. It was a scene of peace, hope, and renewal. Brad stood at the front of the crowd, looking out at the smiling faces of the people who had once thought they had lost everything. He felt a deep sense of gratitude, knowing that he had played a part in helping them rediscover the strength within themselves. As the ceremony came to an end, a woman approached Brad. She was in her 70s, her hair graying, but her face lit up with warmth and kindness. She had lived in the town for more than 50 years and had witnessed both its triumphs and its struggles. "You didn't just plant vegetables here, Brad," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "You planted hope. This garden, this community, has come back to life because of you. But more than that, you reminded us that we can still do this on our own, together." Brad felt a lump form in his throat as he looked around at the people who had come together to restore something far more valuable than just a garden. They had restored a sense of purpose, connection, and hope. "Hope is the real harvest," Brad replied softly, his voice choked with emotion. "And you've all helped plant it." That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the entire town gathered in the garden, sitting together, sharing stories, and planting new seeds, not just in the soil, but in their hearts. Brad, who had arrived as an outsider, felt like part of the fabric of this community, a community that had rediscovered its strength through collective action, kindness, and love. As the stars began to twinkle above, Brad quietly slipped away from the gathering. He knew that this garden, this small patch of earth, had sparked something larger than he could have ever imagined. It wasn't just about the work they had done or the garden they had restored. It was about the people who had found each other again, who had rekindled their sense of hope. And that, he knew, was the real transformation. In the years that followed, the garden continued to thrive, as did the community. It remained a place for the residents to gather, to grow their food, and to nurture the bonds between them. And every now and then, when the sun set just right, you could see Brad Pitt walking among the rows of flowers, taking a moment to admire the simple beauty of what had been created together, a true testament to the power of people coming together and planting seeds of change. As we've seen today, small acts of kindness can grow into something far greater than we ever imagined. It's not just about restoring a garden. It's about planting seeds of hope, community, and togetherness. The real harvest is the spirit we share when we come together. If this story inspired you, let us know where you're watching from and share your thoughts in the comments. And remember, you have the power to make a difference too, just like the people in this town. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more stories of hope, kindness, and transformation. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to spread kindness wherever you go.